Welcome back to Black Girl Ambition with me, Nia Baxter. This is your community for successful, ambitious, badass women to have candid conversations about our unique experiences in corporate America and in entrepreneurship and striving for happiness and success on our own damn terms. Today, I am speaking with Marissa Nelson, who is an award-winning relationship and sex therapist. She is a TEDx speaker and an educator dedicated to helping couples and individuals thrive. She's the owner of Intimacy Moons, which helps couples deepen intimacy and connect authentically. You can also always catch her on TV. She was just on CBS. I saw her the other day. She's on Fox 5, Good Day DC. She also shares her insights in other written publications such as Glamour, Women's Health, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. She is a wife and a mother to her cutie pie daughter, Zayla. We get into so many different topics today, and I am excited for you all to listen in and be a part of this conversation. We talk about the fear and the vulnerability that comes with creation and launching something new. We talk about balancing ambition and romance and what it looks like to fulfill your purpose. We talk about sexual intimacy and supportive relationships as well. So we take this conversation in many different directions, but I hope that you all are able to take away something helpful. I would also like to hear from you. So let me know what other topics that you would like me to discuss or other guests that you would like me to interview. Of course, please rate, review, and subscribe to the Black Girl Ambition podcast. If you have not already, can you go ahead and share it with a friend or a family member? I truly appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So we can go back to the outline I have for the conversation. But in this moment, talking about how difficult it is to start something new, to be vulnerable and to put yourself out there. This is not comfortable, Marissa. This is not comfortable at all. But it's I see the vision and I feel that God is pushing me to do this in this moment.
It's so common. And this is what stops Black women and Black people from pursuing the dream and the desires that God called on your life, because it's hard. I mean, every time somebody wants to, I see a couple or I see anybody in therapy, they're like, we want something different. We want this. We want this relationship. I want this at work. I want this in my life. I want this money or these opportunities. But in order to get there, you're going to have to go through some growth. You're going to have to go through some change. It doesn't happen because who you need to be to step into that space is not who you are right now. That is the shedding of who you think you know yourself to be, your own self-belief, your own self-worth. It's your circle, the people you surround yourself with. Because if you want everything that's over there, you can't take everybody with you.
You over here preaching.
You can't take everyone with you because in order to level up, you need people around you that have your back, that are supportive, that are going to be there for you, that are going to stand in the gap. And that can be friends old and new. And sometimes it could be family. It could be people who are the closest to you that are plotting your demise. Or even if they're not plotting your demise, it feels uncomfortable with you stepping into your God-given power and your gifts, because you are a mirror that is reflecting back to them what their desires are.
Girl, the way I needed to hear that.
Because you're you are trying to separate, sometimes lifelong friendships, people you care about, people that you genuinely love. But through the biggest transitions in your life, the biggest phases in your life, you know who is on your side and who is not, who is truly cheering you on, sharing your stuff, talking about you in rooms that you are not even in, and who isn't.
And I pray for God to bring those people into my life every day. I have a prayer that I say to let my helpers find me. Let my helpers find me and order my steps. I tell you that because I've noticed in this entire uncomfortable process that I feel I am called to do. It's on my heart now, but it's so uncomfortable. But I have met so many incredible women and through that grown so much, even in this short period of time. So I have leveled up my social circle in terms of the women that I am meeting, women who I would normally not know if it were not for the Black Girl Ambition community. And they are supportive. They are successful. Many of them are also entrepreneurs. They are cheering me on. They are liking and sharing and commenting. To your point, though, what I've also noticed on the other side is some of those friendships, some of those friends that I have had for a long time, right? Who I would expect to like and share and comment and be the cheerleaders.
Crickets.
Where you at?
But the thing is that I think that there's one thing, you acknowledge it, use it as a gut check. Like, okay, it doesn't mean that you're not friends. It doesn't mean that you can't connect in other areas, right? You may be able to connect in parenthood. You may be able to still kind of like have a drink with that person, but you know that the way that you are moving and the progression that you're making in your life, this is a point of diversion. And you can do this with gratitude and grace and love for the process, not to be angry or because I think when we get to this moment, it's like, how is this person not supportive of me? You know how much I've been there for them. You know what kind of friend that I'm. No, this is where you release and say, thank you, God, thank you, universe, for showing me and ordering my steps. And if my step is to step away from you, then that is the step, because you have to be able to say, I accept people for who they are and where they're at. The locus of control and the power is within me to decide how I act and interact with that person. So I cannot go to someone that is not able emotionally or otherwise to support me in a season where they don't have the capacity to do that. It's up to me to decide how I interact with that person.
I decide
or
how
not.
I interact. And maturity tells me with love, because maturity tells me that it doesn't mean that I'm not friends with you. It just means that I understand where you're coming from and I understand the role you play or will not play in my life, and I move accordingly. We can still do this. We can still go to dinner. We can still do, but I understand how you move. And so I make decisions based on that.
Absolutely. I think in those moments, it's just like, I see you. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I see you.
Okay,
cool.
Okay.
And with love and with gratitude of, I'm grateful that I know this now, because what some people do is you keep people close and you can't do that when you are growing, because then that starts to chip away your self-esteem. Comment here, someone wasn't there for you. And now you're starting to think and ruminate about it. Why didn't you do that? And now you're bringing some of that negative energy into all that you have going on. And doubt when you already doubt yourself at this beginning phase. One of the biggest things that gets in the way of founders or any woman out there who wants to be able to something that maybe hasn't even been created before. And even if it was created, you didn't do it. Nobody in your family did it. And this is you stepping out on your own. It is so much uncertainty. And we as Black women want to get it right. We are, so educated, overqualified. And if our stamp is on it, if my name is on it, I'm not putting anything out there that's trash. And so this is the reason why we hold ourselves back for perfection, because we want what we put out there to represent us. But one of the biggest things I can tell you about entrepreneurship is that you have to separate your identity from the work. You have to separate your identity from this process, because you will have to navigate the highs and lows of starting anything new, a new business, a new opportunity, a new career, a new level is going to require you to step into a new version of yourself. And if you attach your identity to every title, to every new beginning, you will not be able to navigate the highs and lows without walking away feeling like you have done something wrong or you are a failure when things don't happen the way or in the speed that you would like it to happen.
That is a whole word. So much of it feels real and resonates though, because I understand that perfectionism that you are talking about. And that perfectionism exists for a reason. I saw recently, Black women are the most educated population in the entire country, period. Every single room that we walk into, we are overqualified. most of the time and still undermined, right? So there's this imposter syndrome that continues to show up even when there is no reason. There is no justifiable reason. Like if I look back at so many different seasons of my life where I've done something that I had not done before, like I did it and the shit was dope. And then I did that. And then that was dope. And I did that. And it's like, if I look back at the various, seasons of my life, accomplishments that I've had, there is no reason for me to believe that I'm not capable of this. There's no reason to believe that, but still there is this doubt that creeps in for sure. And this perfection, there have been times when I've had to push myself because I have recorded something or I'm going to post something. And I'm like, it's not,
I don't know. It's the same thing with me.
I'm going to keep it on my phone. I don't know.
I'm going to keep it on my phone. I don't know. But you know what? The act of, and I think I'm in the same place. The act of creation is very vulnerable.
Yes, it is.
You are saying that this is my perspective, my thought, my ideas, my vision that I want to put out into the world, my art, my knowledge that I'm putting out into the world. And to be able to do that requires radical vulnerability. But that's what is hard. Because you know that as Black women, you know that as women, we do get criticized.
Yes,
you know that you can get picked apart. But the mission has to be bigger than that. And I'm telling myself that because that's what I keep saying. Like, if you can help one person, is it worth it? Are you robbing all the other people out there of the lesson that they needed to learn, the thing that they needed to hear when they needed it? Are you robbing them of your message because you're in your head?
The mission is bigger than the doubt and the fear. And for as successful as you've been as an entrepreneur, like I look outside looking in, I'm like, you got it. Listen, you got brands on brands on brands. Marissa Nelson is a brand sex and relationship therapist, owner of Intimacy Moons. You stay on TV, right? So outside looking in, I'm like, you have done it. You've cracked the code of the things that you put your name on, the things that you put out there. Like, where's the doubt? What's the reason? But that's outside looking in. So to hear you talk about your process,
Thank you. It does. And I think that it is how we define success is something that I've been really working through.
Yeah.
There is the perception of, there is success. And then, and how do we all define it? I think that growing up, success was a money in the bank account. It was a certain dollar amount in the bank account. It was stock options. It was vacations once or twice a year. It was all of those things. And so you find yourself, and when I work with clients, because I do work with a lot of CEOs and CFOs. And so when you get to that point in your career where you're like, I've been gunning for this my whole life, and I'm here, and people are miserable. They are very unhappy. They are overworked. And for the success that a lot of people say, well, you're the head of this and you have this position. This is what the kind of the standard is. Shouldn't you feel like you're happy and you made it? What sacrifice did that come with though? Because are you now working so much for the illusion or what you perceive or what society or other people perceive as success, but now you ain't got time for your relationship. You don't have time for your kids. You don't have time to even eat lunch because you're back-to-back meetings all day, every day. And so I really do think that we need to redefine what success and ambition actually looks like. And for us, when do we feel like how do we make it every day in the sense of what brings me fulfillment, satisfaction, and joy within my title and outside of that title? Because we have to redefine success. Because if not, we're always going to be like chasing the carrot. It's the money, it's the stocks, it's the, as my dad would say, the golden handcuffs. It pays the bills. It puts my kids in school, affords a certain lifestyle. But I am genuinely unhappy. People are dealing with depression and anxiety and self-doubt and self-loathing because even though they have certain things, it has compromised their quality of life and their well-being because we haven't learned how to have the balance of being able to take care of ourselves while we serve others. So And I
think people are honest about what it is, or think deeply even sometimes about what it is they really want, because they're making decisions, career decisions, based on that external validation, based on the title, based on how it's going to look on a LinkedIn post, like based on the money, based on the stock options, to your point, but they're not making it based on a deep fulfillment or desire for what their purpose is. And I will say that it is a privilege to be able to think about your career in terms of purpose, because my mother and my grandmother were not able to think about their careers in terms of purpose. It was survival.
Absolutely.
It was survival. Am I going to make enough to put food on the table, to be able to clothe my children, to put gas in the car? And it was about survival. So for me growing up, I never had conversations with the women around me about what truly fueled me, what my true interests are, where they really lied, because the benchmark was, how much does that pay? Are you going to be able to get a nice apartment? Are you going to be able to drive a fancy car? Are you going to be able to have a little bit of money to take me out to dinner every once in a while? It wasn't about purpose. So there is some privilege wrapped up in the fact that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, in the sense of getting to a point where we are making decisions about our lives based on purpose and not just survival. I know we spoke about you talking to so many women who are very successful. They're in their 30s and their 40s. They've got the golden handcuffs. They have it all from the outside looking in, but they hate it.
They hate it. And I think that there is this dance and this tension between practical and purpose, because it is the longing in our heart is to do things with purpose and satisfaction. But the practicality is the bills still have to be paid. The kids still have to go to school. The demands are still the demands, and life is still lifing. And there are practical reasons why we do what we do. But I wonder if we can also redefine success through the lens of purpose and using the practicality of our situation to get to where we ultimately want to be. And so how do we then start to give back to ourselves, start to really think about what is this all for? I'm here to give. I'm here to share. I'm here to impact. If I can really think big picture, what does that mean for me? And how can I live every day of my life walking in that, whether I'm working for someone or I want to step out and work for myself? And so I really do think like we get the opportunity to think about purpose. And I feel it is different living that life every day on your terms.
Yes.
But still, like for those, there's so many people out there who don't get to do that.
No, they don't.
And they don't get to dream. And I want to bring dreaming and play back into ambition.
That.
Yes. I think we get so busy adulting, we get so busy lifing, that in order for us to create truly a vision that works for our lives, you have to dream, and you have to dream big enough and give yourself the permission to dream big enough so that you can access that deeper longing and that deeper knowing, to be able to say, if I did not have to worry about, if I could do this for money and I didn't even have to worry about the money, what would it be? Every day of my life, how would I be living? Who would I be seeing? How would I be experiencing life from this version of myself where I get to dream and play? So living that every day, not just because, yes, I happen to be a couples and sex therapist, but I'm saying that living in your gift is a wonderful experience. It is a sacred experience. And I wish for everybody to have that, for you to reincorporate play back into what it means for you to be successful and fulfilled.
I really do love that, the dreaming and the play, because we lose it and become so disconnected. Things become very transactional in terms of our careers, and then in terms of our relationships, like our romantic relationships, our friendships. Like I have found myself at times just rushing through, like I'm trying to rush through so I can get to the things that I have to do. And I look up and I'm like, I'm not very fun.
It happens over time, right? It's like a drip, 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 drip. And then you have the realization of like, I'm different now.
I'm sure You see couples who have that tension of like career ambition in this sense and intimacy, connection. Those two things can be at odds.
Yeah.
Are they not?
They can. It depends. I'll walk you through how a couple of these things can play out. On one hand, some of the things that I see particularly is when in a heterosexual relationship, when a woman or those who identify as women make more money than their male partner, you start to see that play out intimately.
Did you see how I picked up I had to sip when you said that?
You didn't have to sip. Well, I do see it play out intimately because in all relationships, no matter who you are, we always negotiate power in our relationships. Power, and some couples are better at sharing it. Some couples, it's a power struggle where it's like, I have my own perspective and my own way of seeing the world. How do you not see it that way? I don't get it. Like, get it together, right? And when it comes to intimacy, sometimes this is a place in an arena where that plays out. Because if you're a breadwinner and all day, every day, you're answering the questions, you're burnt out, you're doing all of that stuff, there is a longing that a lot of women have to come home and to be taken care of emotionally, to have that soft place to land, to have a partner like, I don't want to make any more decisions today. You decide what to eat. You figure it out. Like, you take care of it. And then intimately desiring a back to be cracked.
Wait, you said a back to be cracked?
Yes. Desire and wanting of a back to be cracked. And when these things don't happen, then it starts to change the dynamic in a relationship and the way that some people look at the relationship or approach the relationship. Maybe it starts to erode respect sometimes. When sex doesn't come together, or maybe there's sexual dysfunction and you're sexually dissatisfied, you're like, I don't want this anymore. Like, this is annoying to me. And so then we start devaluing sex, or we start devaluing sex with our.
That's interesting. So it can show up in that way of making the decisions at work and then wanting to come home and say, I don't want to make any more decisions. I want to be taken care of. And then there might even be some dissatisfaction with the back not being cracked in the bedroom.
That's right.
Do you also see women who are like, they're the breadwinners, they're making the decisions, and then they come home and they also want to make the decisions?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because the tension happens underneath that is a desire for control. Control allows us to feel a sense of agency and safety over our lives. It is a trauma response many times, let's be honest. Wanting to control people, places, and things is a trauma response. If I can control it, if I can put my hands on it, then I know that I can predict and I can create safety for myself. And so when you do that at work and you also come home and do that, then we start to feel overworked. We're starting to overfunction. Right. And then even though a lot of women do want control, they also want to be taken care of, and they also want partnership. And when they feel like they're not getting partnership, this is where the frustration comes in, because it's like, how do you not see that I need support? How do you not do your part? Yeah. And there's an anger and a resentment that sets in, because it's like, I don't want to have to do it all. However, it's almost like you've set yourself up for a no-win situation, because the very same thing that is frustrating to you, you've also kind of have a grip on everything around you, that it doesn't give other people the agency to step up in the way that they know how to step up, because you're the one who wants to overlove, overgive, overdo it. You're now exhausted and burnt out, and now they retreat, kind of perpetuating that pattern and that cycle.
It's like, no one can do anything right, so you go do it all yourself.
So you're going to do it all yourself. And then you're burnt out. You're like, why isn't anybody showing up for me? And it's a slippery slope, because on one hand, I totally get it. Right. I understand, like, control is many times a trauma response. It is a response to you maybe growing up and living in a world where you were not prioritized and you were not taken care of, and you didn't have a soft space to land for yourself. So you learn that in order to get shit done, and in order to survive, and in order for life to go on, I have to do it. That self-reliance that serves you, but also hurts you in a lot of ways.
Hyper independence. So how does one get through that to have better relationships? Is that communication? That's stating what you need? Yeah.
I'm going to say that it's very complex because one, it is renegotiating the way that you show up in relationships and the way that you show up for yourself. Letting go of control is really hard because it's learned over time.
Right.
This is how we've learned how to take care of ourselves. And this is the way that we've learned how to take care of other people. Sometimes even the way that we caretake in relationships are very much attached to, don't worry, you're going through something. Let me figure it out. Here's a number for this person. Let me call a friend that I know. I'll be over there. Like you're doing all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a calibration of how do I show up in a meaningful way? But how do I pare back instead of being 1,000% all the time?
Mm-hmm.
What does my 70% look like?
That takes a lot of self-reflection and honesty.
Yes.
How do people do that work? Is that therapy?
Well, yes, I think yes, it's therapy. A lot of it is therapy. But even so, there are a lot of us, of course, I'm an advocate for therapy as a therapist, but there might be a lot of people who are not there yet. And I honor that. I think that it really is sitting in reflection of what is no longer working for you. And also, how is control serving you? Because it's important for you to see how holding on to control over people, places, and things are actually working for you. It might work professionally. You might get a huge payoff professionally because you might get paid for the way that you overthink, you analyze things, you're forecasting into the future, you're trying to save money here, you're trying to do this there. And it might work for you in that sense, but we do not compartmentalize our shit.
No.
It shows up everywhere. We think we do. We do not.
Compartmentalize our shit. That should be the name of this episode.
I think people want to. They're like, oh, this only exists in this space. And no, honey, it bleeds everywhere. So that's why even as a sex therapist, I can tell you about your personal boundaries. I can tell you about your friendships. I can tell you about your relationship to trust just from intimacy because it plays out in that arena. If you are not vulnerable, if it's hard for you to get to vulnerability, if it's hard for you to receive a compliment or even a cup of coffee from a friend, do you think that it's going to be as easy for you to receive pleasure?
Wow. Talk to me a bit about the disconnect that you see from couples in the bedroom when it comes to sexual fulfillment, intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see most often from the couples that you work with?
Well, I would say, one, I see couples throughout the lifespan. So I work with a lot of couples who are premarital, a lot of couples who are getting married, a lot of couples who have young kids, and they're trying to get through that postpartum period over the first couple of years with little kids. And then, seeing couples who've been together for quite some time. On average, most of my clients have been together plus 15, 20 years. On average, they're really together about 20, 25 years. And so they have longevity. And after a while, things change. You're both in your careers. You could be caregiver. You could have gone through a health diagnosis that changes your sexual functioning. Over time, talking about hormones, I'm 42. A lot of us are in our late 30s and 40s. You could have gone through a hysterectomy, fertility treatment. You can just be going through peri, as I call her. And you just, some of my clients are like, I'm flashing out. I don't want anybody to touch me. I'm hot. I have no desire. And that affects intimacy. So no matter where you are in that continuum, the way that I see it show up in the office is one, lack of desire. And so again, stress will tank desire. A lot of women who are stretched very thin don't have much to give to themselves at the end of the day, let alone their partner. They are prioritizing their own survival, sleep, eat, mental capacity. So really helping couples understand how to work through navigating decreasing stress, how to be able to better connect and use communication as a tool to have their relationship really be a safe haven, and then sexually to reimagine what intimacy looks like at different phases of their life. If you are starting a new business or you just got a new role, intimacy is going to look really different for you in the next couple of months because your demands on your time are going to be very heavy. And so it matters the way that you communicate with your partner about it, and setting it up to say, listen, this next quarter of our relationship, it's going to be an all hands on deck kind of a situation. And this is what support looks like for me. And this is what intimacy may look like for us. We can't wait to, so that's one aspect of it.
Okay.
So I see a lot of low desire and helping couples navigate low desire as a team. The second part of it is sexual dysfunction, whether you have premature ejaculation, whether you have vaginismus, which is the vagina having a panic attack and being I call it the vagina having a panic attack. And it makes it very hard for you to have penetrative sex. And so in those moments when sex or pain during sex, you see a lot of that. Black women have a higher likelihood of fibroids, polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? You can have inflammation. So all of these things can make sex feel very uncomfortable. And so when you experience those things, you're not going to want to do something that causes or feels painful, right? You're going to be a little bit more avoidant. And so part of the work that I also do is helping couples work through what does this look like in reincorporating different tools, tips, and really being pleasure centered during this time as you're trying to reconnect sexually. And then the last thing that I see is 1 in 5 marriages are low sex to no sex. And so I quoted this in my TEDx. Yes, 1 in 5 relationships are low sex to no sex. So a big portion of what I treat and see are couples that have not been intimate in months or years. Most of the couples a lot of the couples that I work with have not been intimate in a couple of years. Decades for some. Wow. Let's normalize this. Okay. People aren't talking about this.
You see the shock on my face. Like, people are not talking about this.
People don't talk about it because, again, sexuality and even relationships, really sexuality, intimacy can be a place where there's a lot of deep shame. There's a lot of reasons why people retreat or avoid intimacy and some of the things that they know and some of the things that they have no idea. Maybe attraction has changed. Maybe their sexual orientation has changed over time. Maybe they're just not feeling their partner. Maybe they just don't know themselves anymore. So they don't feel attractive to themselves. So they don't even know how to invite a partner into their intimacy and to touch them and to be intimate and close to them again. And so there's lots of recovering from an affair. There are a lot of different reasons why people retreat from intimacy. And yes, it could be years and even decades in some instances where people just have their roommates and they're not really lovers.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, when you said that, I was thinking, what defines together? Like, if you having gone that long over so many years, when you're functioning like roommates and don't have that intimacy, what does together mean? It's interesting.
When I first became a therapist, I think that I thought, and especially a couples therapist, I'm like, well, the goal is that we save all the relationships. The goal is that everybody's in love and everybody's doing, and that's not practical. There are a lot of reasons why people choose to be in connection with each other. For practical reasons, because they're in love, more so than not, that I see. There are people that are deeply in love with the person. They love this person. They share a life together. They have weathered the biggest storms of life together. That is their person. But things could have shifted sexually, and they're just not on the same page when it comes to sex, but they're on the same page when it comes to life. And that's why they stay together. Yeah. And there's no shame around it.
Right.
And I think we have to normalize it. There is no shame around how people choose to be connected because, many of the couples that I work with are very much committed to making their relationship work. They recognize the cracks. They see the things that are affecting them, that are affecting their connection. And they've tried certain things and not everything has worked, but they're still trying. And sometimes they get numb and they're like, I'm not trying anymore. This is fine. And then sometimes things will happen and life will happen and they'll be like, okay, we need to look at this again. I'm no longer. It's usually around, truth be told, there are a lot of milestone birthdays where clients are like, I just turned 50. We can't do it like this anymore. I just turned 60. This is not a vibe anymore. We need to figure this out because I want to be happy.
How do you know when a relationship, you can think about this relationship like romantic or friendships, it's worth fighting for versus when you call it quits? Like, this is not serving me, versus with communication and making some adjustments, we can keep moving.
To me, if you have two people fighting, then it's worth fighting for. I think you need two people in your relationship that are committed to healing and growth and the journey, and that it is not just one person holding the relationship on their back. If you have two people who are saying, I love you, we need to figure this out. And it is self-work, which both of you are doing your own work in therapy, both of you are doing your own work with coaches, both of you are understanding for yourself how you've changed and how maybe your path has diverged a little bit in that evolution, and how you can come back together. Y'all need to really look at therapy, and not therapy as the solution to all your problems, because I only see you for 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week. Is not just what happens in my office. It is you are committing to the process of leaning in, looking at some uncomfortable truths around your relationship. And if both of you are willing to fight for it, to love, to do things differently, to give, then it is worth fighting for. If you feel like your partner is not there, they have a crisis of integrity, where what they're saying and their actions do not match up, where trust is broken. And I say this if you're with somebody for a long time, you will make mistakes. But is this a pattern? Is this a pattern of me not being able to trust you? Is this a pattern of you not being faithful? Is this a pattern of you not honoring me and not honoring our family? And if that is the case, then I would say you should have a lot of conversations with yourself around, what do you think is best for you right now? If your daughter was in this situation, what would you advise her to?
So we've talked a lot about the longer term relationships, but for people who are they're dating, right? Like, they're in short term relationships, they're dating. What are some of the red flags you see people ignore the most
In dating?
in dating?
I love this, because I used to work for dating apps. I love all things dating too. The number one thing that I would say is mistaking physical attraction and chemistry for long-term potential. Leading with your loins, as I would say. Sex can be hot, but does that mean that that's a person that you can build a life with? Maybe, maybe not. I think that attraction is a wonderful thing. It's something that is important, but there's also other aspects to attraction. You can be attracted to somebody's mind. Attraction can grow over time. It's not always this immediate hit. And so I think that we go into dating looking for that immediate rush, that adrenaline, that feeling, which is great. We should all feel that. But that also does not always translate into what is good for us. What we might be attracted to and what we might run to could also be patterns and toxic patterns from our past that are very familiar to us, that we are recreating. So are we running to somebody who is emotionally unavailable? Are we attracted to people who don't honor their word? Because that's what we grew up with. That's what we know. And there is a part of us in dating that are going to play out this, they didn't call me. What does this mean? Oh, well, if I do more, if I show up this way, and if I do this, and if I do that, then, totally we're going to be together and we're going to, be more serious. So what is good for us emotionally, I think I would want people to really learn the discernment between what is recreating patterns that no longer serve me and what is actually healthy for me. Because someone who is here giving you the attention and the care and following up with you and doing all those things, sometimes people are like, boring. I've
heard people say that often. Boring, not exciting.
Boring, not exciting. Child, attachment and being in a loving relationship should be fabulously boring.
Yes.
And I wouldn't even say fabulously uneventful. It's not boring. It's uneventful, because sometimes you learn that love is this pendulum swing of highs and lows. And let me tell you, I've been 15 years in the game. My husband is my man. Okay.
Yes,
and
right.
before him, I was attracted to good looking assholes. I loved them. I loved some of them. People who were completely emotionally unavailable, completely like, yeah, let's hang out on Friday night. And then Friday night comes and they're like gone. Right. And then Mike comes along and he's like, listen, I care about you. Here's some space in my closet. When you come over, like, here, I just want to let you know I cleared out my closet for you. Wake up in the morning and this man has cooked me breakfast. He's like, how can I be there for you? What are your dreams? How can I support you? That is the partner that you need. I think the second part of it is, does this person that you date support your dreams? Do they support you wholeheartedly?
Mm-hmm.
Are they there to support you, not when you're up, not when shit is up, but are they there for you in the gap? And I think that you can determine that when you are dating someone, when you share what your vision of your future is, like, this is what I'm working towards. How excited does that person get? Or do they talk about themselves? If they talk about themselves, then you have a very good idea about the energy in the relationship being about them and not about us, or not about you.
Being in service to them. And this is why I love you and Mike's relationship. It reminds me a lot of the support that I get from Keon, who is my man.
Mm-hmm.
My man. It's my man.
We were talking about that. Show the people your cup.
Is he? I'm going to send him a text and see if he'll come down here so the folks can see him. But
most beautiful Black couple ever.
Thank you. When I started dating him, he was entirely different than anyone I had ever dated before. I was used to, what did you call them? Attractive assholes?
Good. Yeah.
Listen, and that's where I was. It was emotionally unavailable. It was painful. It was not reciprocated. And I felt like it had to be a struggle. I also think I felt like it had to be a struggle because that's all I ever saw growing up was struggle love. So I was like, it's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to, he's supposed to be a little unavailable. And I'm so happy that I met him. I was not looking for him necessarily, but he showed up when I needed him most. And when you say just uneventful, listen, he says what he means. He shows up when he says he is going to be there. Trust him. He is supportive. He is the best, most emotionally available father. And it's something that is entirely different than honestly any other romantic relationship that I have seen play out in my family. In terms of his integrity and consistency and the way he loves me, like he loves me and supports me. And I'm so thankful for it because I've needed it. I've needed it heal, like myself, childhood traumas from lack of love in so many ways growing up. And I was not expecting that from my partner necessarily. I was not, but that's what it's given me. And I'm incredibly thankful for it. So yes, like not that we don't argue. Of course we argue. Of course we have disagreements. It's usually me being entirely petty and immature and needy and a little bit of a diva because, I'm big Leo over here.
But he loves you. He loves that about you too.
He does. He does. Like I'm the excitement. Like, babe, let's fly to Africa on Friday. What is wrong?
I know Keon is like, let's make it work. He's like, let's make it work. And I think that kind of love, I call it like beautifully uneventful because it's not this raging, crashing out.
No, we're not crashing out.
Can you believe my partner did this? Can you believe that they had this person and this person and this person? Like sometimes you're taught that all you deserve is struggle. And I think that's what I thought too, because I had a father that was emotionally unavailable.
Same.
So I was playing that out with romantic partners. And I think when I met my husband, he loved me before I learned how to love myself. He loved me in a way and saw me in a way when I was still learning how to love myself.
Me too, Marissa. Wow.
Yeah. And that's how I knew that he was that person, because the unconditional love, it didn't, before I felt like I had to like chameleon my way into having love and having and being in love. And this man was like, wig, no wig, braids, no braids. He was like, you're insane and I love it. And quiet. Like he will still be like, love you. That is the love that I wish for everyone. And you got to work for it.
You got to
work from the sense of you got to work, because we are very committed to our communication. We're very committed to, I'm tired. I might not be in my best right now. this is what I really meant to say. We are very big on repair. We are very big on forgiveness. We are very big on, my bad, honey, will you forgive me? I'm so sorry that I handled it that way. I really didn't mean it like that.
You said he loved you before you loved yourself. And I felt tingles because I feel the exact same way. Like loving him or him loving me has shown me how to love me.
That's right.
It's shown me how to
Because it
love
was the
me.
right person. And the thing is that I say that with the caveat. You're not going into relationships looking for that validation. This is
No.
just something that along our path of being together,
Yeah.
he helped me see the places where I was not loving myself, where I was not honoring myself. Is this the man?
Come say hi to
The myth?
people. And we were talking about you. Say
My
hi.
friend! Hey,
I'm not
come pull
slaying
up a
nothing.
chair.
I don't got
Come
no seat.
pull up a chair.
Hello,
You
audience.
look great.
That's my man.
No.
Okay. He said he's not presentable.
Right.
He's so funny. I said, can you get
I
down
feel
there,
like-
please?
Mike would do the same thing. He'd be like, and then he would be out.
Well, I want to thank you for being here. This conversation traversed a whole lot of topics, and it was not entirely expected, but such a beautiful conversation. We really just jumped right into it because we were feeling the
Yeah.
moment. And I would like you to talk a little bit about the different brands that you own.
So I'm the founder and CEO of Intimacy Moons Couples Retreats, rated one of the world's best couples retreats. Even during a pandemic, couples were traveling and I was working with them remotely. Intimacy Moons I built, it's been 10 years this year.
Wow.
And so it's been 10 years of what was just an idea that was really born out of a move. I was living in DC and I started practice in 2013, and my husband got a promotion and we moved to the Bahamas. And so after having to shut down private practice, it was like, well, I don't want to just be a housewife, honey. I love what I do. And so really thinking about how can I reimagine what couples therapy looks like, because people may still have a problem coming to couples therapy, but nobody ever had a problem going on vacation. And I always felt like couples retreats could be seedy, could be like we deserve luxury. Like
Right.
we deserve premium. Like we deserve to have a beautiful experience. And why not have your skill building, your coaching work? Why not use a couple of days to transform your relationship? And I really believe in the power and the intervention of vacation to really help support and reset relationships, because sometimes you give yourself permission to be more open. You give yourself permission to have more fun, to play, to be adventurous, to seek, right? Because on vacations, you might have an itinerary, like I want to see every part of this island, but you will not do anything different in your everyday life. And so I believe in the mindset and the power around vacation, how we can use that to really help couples connect and reconnect. So that's Intimacy Moons Retreats.
Okay.
And outside of that, that offshoots to a lot of other things, and is the Lover Society. I built a new community for couples to learn and grow together so that they can have the best relationships ever. Because a lot of times couples don't talk about what it takes to make relationships work. We don't always talk about our relationships. We don't talk about our challenges when it comes to intimacy. We don't talk to each other. What does it mean to have careers, have families, and know that sometimes you do have challenges connecting, and having a place where you're not going to be judged, having a place where you can come as you are and you can learn and grow together. I have office hour date nights every Thursday. So if you don't know what to do for a date night, you have 1 hour dedicated every week that you can come and learn and grow together with other resources and relationship challenges that will support and help you level up your connection. Because no matter how great your relationship is, it can always get better. And so outside of that, you can find me doing a lot of article writing for mags. You can find me doing a lot of guest hosting and speaking, because I'm on a mission to help as many couples as I can for as long as I can have the most connected and intimate lives that they can ever dream of, because you deserve it. You deserve pleasure. You deserve happiness. You deserve joy. Because, child, why else are we here? Why are we here? If you can't feel joy, if you cannot feel like you have all the intangible, what is this all for?
I was going to ask you, what is your greatest ambition? And it seems like you backed into already answering that with your aspiration for people to find joy and find pleasure in their lives.
Yes, absolutely. I would say to add on to that, my greatest joy is to help as many women, especially Black women, reclaim pleasure, especially from trauma, because we've been through some shit, even through ancestry, even way back when intimacy and when sexuality was taken from us. We have learned to be disconnected from our own bodies, from our own pleasure, because it was, for a long time, we were taught that it was never ours. It was in service to others. It was taken. And this is an opportunity in the work that I'm doing. This is reclamation. This is about reclaiming yourself. This is soul care. This is deeper. This is you taking back what is always been yours, which is pleasure and joy and freedom. And for you to be able to experience that wholly and for you, not because you have to do something for it, but because you are worthy and deserving of it. And so that is the mission. My biggest ambition is to help as many women feel and reclaim the pleasure that is ours.
Thank you, friend. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, friend.
With me. Where can my listeners find you? And thank you for that.
www.intimacymoons.com, or you can follow me on IG at XO Marissa Nelson.
Thank you so much, friend. You're amazing.
Thank you. And so are you. And the glowing skin comes. Hello. Look at my friend glowing skin. And let me also say one thing before we leave. This is the power of friendship. This is the power of Black women being friends and supporting each other. Because even though we are working, we are not working. We are having fun and we are connecting. And this is literally what life should be about. You work with amazing people and you just kind of pour into each other. Because this conversation poured into me in a way that, like, your perspective, your thoughtfulness, like, I feel so full from this conversation. So I just want to say thank you for being an amazing friend. And I just love you to pieces. And I'm just so excited for you.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you.
Overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these wrestlers nice.